Scared of returning to jail,
I looked at him. He stood by the door, blocking the door. He goes, I want to chat to you about Psych.
Taking him to the quiet room, lifting him up, he starts kicking, screaming, swearing, all obscenities, talking about what he's gonna do to us.
Mental health, mental health, mental health. We've heard this word so much in the last few years that it's becoming like a buzzword, like just something cool to say. Oh, I'm protecting my mental health. Oh, I'm staying off of social media just to protect my mental health. And I applaud people for making this decision in their life because mental health is very serious. It's not about just feeling sad and feeling happy. It's not just about those things. See, taking your mental health serious isn't just about, oh, I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to feel down. I don't want to feel depressed or anxiety. I don't want to feel those things. I want to feel high and vibrant. The mental health crisis that we are seeing right now is a lot deeper than sadness and happiness. And I need y'all to understand that if you don't take care of your mental, most of society will not feel bad for you. Instead, they'll deal with you on the inside. And what do I mean by inside? It could be behind locked doors at a psych ward or even prison walls. And trust me, neither of those places are places that you actually want to be. See, people act like mental health is an optional thing, like it's kind of like a gym membership. You know, you could go when you want, you could take it serious when you feel like, it's a huge problem. You know, you'll kind of get around to it when life just slows down. People that are going untreated with mental health issues is creating most of our homeless people, most of our people that are addicted to some type of crazy drugs, and the people that are locked up behind the prison walls. And honestly, a lot of the people that have these mental health issues, their families were the first one to see that there's something wrong with Lil Jimmy. We laugh about it at first because, you know, they're just a kid. They're doing that little thing that's a little off, so it's not that big of a deal. They get a little bit older now and you're like, such and such is kind of weird. But, you know, that's just how they are. Then they get older and now everybody wants to be standoffish to that person that we kind of know, and that person's not all the way there. Now they become an adult to where now they're roaming the world by themselves with this mental health issue. Their family knows about it, but they rather distance themselves because they're trying to protect their peace. This person's going through the world thinking that they're all the way there. But the thing about it is now the world doesn't feel sorry for you. The world just labels you as crazy. So you wind up in a psych ward, or even worse, you wind up in a prison. And prisons weren't designed for healing. They were designed for punishment.
scared of returning to jail, 18-year-old Fernando Salgado begs to get to go home after hearing his bail is set at $300,000, and he will not get a chance at reducing that for 2 weeks. His family reacting too, disrupting court.
In this video, I'm going to be talking about mental health in prison because it is a major issue. Their prisons are the new mental hospitals in America. When a lot of states start allocating less funds to their state-run facilities, what they started doing was people who have mental health issues that committed a criminal act, they send them to prison. And here's how it affects that environment in two ways. The first one is amongst the inmate population, because it's very scary when you're in an environment with people who have mental health issues, because you never know how they're going to act out, when they will lash out. An example of that is one time I was in the child line with my friend, and we were in front of this guy that he clearly needed mental health help. And he just punched my friend in the face for no reason. And the second one is, when people that have mental health issues act out in prison, they find themselves in segregation for long amounts of time, and they are in segregation where they should be somewhere getting help, and it's just making them worse.
If I could say there's any group in America that America doesn't really feel sorry for, is people with mental health. I think the only people that can really save somebody that has mental health issues is either one, that person, but on certain spectrums, some people won't even admit to themselves that they have a problem. So I really feel like it's the family and the people that's around you that can really save you from yourself. Because I strongly believe that there are a lot of people that are locked up in prisons, locked up in cages, because they had something going on in their head that a doctor or somebody that could have gave them some type of help could have helped them avoid that crash out moment that they had, sending them to prison.
One guy with mental health in there, yeah? A white guy, Muslim guy. Yeah, he was like 24 stone, right? But you can see when he talks to you that the lights are on, but there's no one home. Do you understand?
One of them
So
ones,
you
yeah,
just
yeah.
keep the conversation short. And the people with mental health,
Just keep it moving.
I'm very open. So if I come to dialogue with you, I'm see-through. I'm like an open book, you know. And when I talk, it's very clear what I'm saying. There's no room for misinterpretation. I don't need you going back to your room thinking,
Did he say
mean
that?
by
Did
that?
he do this?
Do you understand what I'm saying? So one day, this guy, how I knew that this guy was badly affected by mental health, he slit someone's throat in Belmarsh, right? But he was already serving life in prison.
The problem is that lifers. Why get in beef with him? He's
No,
like,
the guy's throat that he slit had no beef with him.
oh, wow.
He thought the guy was IRA, right? The voices in his head told him the guy was IRA. This guy he lined up next to every day to get his food was minding his own business. Next thing, my man's run a blade made out of shit. You know what I mean? You get shapes.
Yeah.
He's melted the blades into a
Toothbrush.
toothbrush, made a shank. The guy's waiting to get his beans and rice.
Slit
He's
his.
had his throat slit. He's got another life sentence on top of his life sentence. He's coming to our wing. He used to smoke cigarette, right? In the open, you know, on the sofas. We're not permitted to smoke on the sofas. We have to smoke in our room. And he'll drink coffee. He doesn't clean. Officers aren't telling him nothing. You understand what I'm saying?
You're not fucking with
That's how I knew this guy had stairs. So I swerved this guy because his mental health was steaming, right? So one day, we're hearing, yo, you know my man with the mental health is paging everyone. Because the wing was full of bad boys from everywhere. He's paging everyone. So what he will do is when your door opens, you know, youth offenders, when I open your door, if you're not ready to come out, you learn from early, you jump out of bed, lock that door. Because if a man flies through your cell, they'll tuck you in while you're in bed and you ain't trying to have none of that. Like, oh, my man was asleep and I flew through his cell and I beat him up. Anyway, so you lock your door. But this guy's been making it into people's cells. So people have been waking up with this 25-stone white guy, right, jamming over them with a knife, asking them, yo, what are you saying? So words got about that this is what this guy's doing. So me and a brethren of mine, I sat there. This guy's kind of like infamous, this dude. I'm not gonna put his name out, but if he sees this, he'll know what I'm talking about. We're sat there, we're eating. You see like how you eat in school?
Yeah, canteen.
Yeah. We have to sit outside ourselves and eat on these little desks. Me and my man are chatting about, yo, have you heard the rumors this guy's been paging people in their cells? Right? As I'm there talking to him, the guy stood by his door, down the landing, he can't hear us. I hear, ghost! I'm like, the fuck? I turned around, it's him. He's calling me. And I was just talking about him, right? So I look at my brethren, he's like, shit,
Yo,
he's
he's
calling
calling
me. All the inmates turned around and looked at me like this. Right? So I had to get up, go to his cell, right? So I go to him, I said, yeah, man, what's going on? He goes, come in. His cell's pitch black.
Yo.
The curtains are drawn. It smells like wet dog in there, right? The only light's coming from the TV. He says to me, come in. So I've looked at him. I said, yeah, cool. I'm thinking, I ain't got no problems with this guy. There's no way he can dream of anything because I swerved this guy. I've gone in there. Smart. So I've gone in there. As soon as I've got in there, it stinks. I'm holding my breath at a time as I'm talking to him because it smells so bad in there. The first thing that I did is sat down because I'm 6'4", he's like 6'5" or whatever. I've sat down. I'm less threatening when I sit down.
Yeah, you want to make sure that he knows he's a man.
I'm less threatening. I sit down. I looked at him. He stood by the door, was blocking the door. He goes, I want to chat to you about something. I said, yeah, man, what's going on? He says, the other day, right, I said hello to you and you didn't reply. I'm like, what? What? When? Right? Now I'm thinking, dude, you're just making things up. You just want to knife me.
You just want to kill me, that's it,
Yeah,
right?
you just want to knife me and you're making things up, bro.
As you said
I said,
that.
when? He goes, the other day when you was at the gate. The only way I won't respond is if I'm rushing to the gym. You know, in jail, you got to rush to the gym. They open the gate, everyone's got to rush to the gym. You ain't hearing what anyone else is saying. I turned around, I clocked what he was saying. It's today I was rushing to the gym. I turned around, I said to him, no, bro. I said, I was rushing to the gym. Bro, I never heard you. I didn't blank you on purpose. The guy came closer to the bed, reached in his pants, took out his knife, put it on the table, sat down and grabbed his head and he goes, oh, thank God. He goes, because you know I'm not alright, I haven't been taking my meds, man, I'm sorry. I used to pray next to this guy. So I looked at him and said, yeah, man, sweet. I saw the shank. I said, sweet, jumped up, shot out of his cell, went back to the brethren that I was with originally, right?
Yo, that's a long day, bro.
Yes.
Oh my
originally.
gosh.
And he said to me, what happened in there?
Don't worry.
I said to him, bruv, you never guess what? He says, what? Next thing I hear is, Steve! Reggie I was sat with, it's his turn to get paged. Everyone's turned around and looked at him. My man looked at me like that. Gone in there. Obviously, he's got his way out of that, innit? It's a situation, it don't make sense. But anyway.
Bro,
We're here now, bro.
that brother's mad.
Yeah, he's mad. He actually went to a, you've heard of Franklin?
Nah,
Franklin's an ACAT prison. Like, that's where
the madman are.
madmen are. Do you know what I'm saying? ACATs. Man that are doing 35s. This guy is in a prison within a prison. Do you get it? So Franklin, where people are doing 35s, it's got a unit on it. Where people do courses. Like the serial killers are going there to do 5-year courses and shit like
He's
that.
in there.
There are people out here that's really not okay, bro. There's people out here that do not have all their screws. There are screws that are loose. Please protect your people before they grow up to be these type of guys in a prison, okay? Or they be these kind of people in population. That guy right there has obviously some screws loose, and somebody probably looked at him and was just like, that's just John. You know, he's just weird. No, that's why I say mental health is so much deeper than just sadness and happiness. You have people that are in real life psychosis. You have adults that have admitted themselves into psych wards. I am not completely against, because psych wards are there to actually help you. But the experience in a psych ward will open your eyes.
The one desire, believe. I want it that way. Tell me why. Ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why. Ain't nothing but a mistake. Tell me why. I know they wanna hear you say, I want it that.
Psychopath I ever met while working in the psych ward was a child. And let's just say that he had me so full that by the time I actually found out what he was in the ward for, the hairs on my body rose. I didn't want to be anywhere near this kid. He really played me. And this is gonna shock you. So this kid in the ward, he's like 10 or 11 years old. And unlike a lot of people at this particular psych ward, I liked working the pediatric unit. You had certain people that were assigned to certain units, but I was a floater. I worked on the adult unit, the geriatric unit, and the kids unit. And I always have a special place in my heart for the youth. Because a lot of times when they come into the psych ward, they're in the middle of their teen development, or maybe they're dealing with traumatic homes, things that have less to do with them, and there's still hope, there's still wet cement, and they can still be formed and smoothed out before their personalities and character starts to harden into unresolved issues that turn into drug use, more aggressive onsets of mental health disorders, a lot of the things I see on the adult unit. And those people can be helped too, but it's just harder. So I meet this boy on the unit, and he had just came in, so we hadn't got shift report on him yet. I'm doing rounds. I always like to do rounds first, where you have to go and see where each patient is, because that was a time where I get to introduce myself to patients, start off the shift with a good rapport, also kind of get a scope on who the problem people might be, but get ahead of it. I like to relate to people. And then I meet this kid who's the psychopath, and he's very kind. He's like playing with Legos, and some cartoons are on, the other kids are around. He's being very nice to the other kids, laughing. He even is like sticking up for a kid who took somebody else's seat. In my head, I'm like, oh, I really wonder what he's here for. Can't be anything too damning. I mean, anybody can be a decent human being, but when people start to show empathy for others and consider them over themselves, that's a trait of a good person, especially in children. So anyways, the shift continues. I run group with the kids, and he's raising his hand, answering questions about how to have good coping skills and how to identify triggers. You know, he's one of the brightest among the bunch. And then when it's time for me to chart on the kids, I have a certain group that I'm assigned to, and I ask them about their time here, about how their meds are, their home life, if they're ready to get out, if they have any suicidal or homicidal ideations, you know, the whole gambit. I get to know them. We kind of really strip things back. And so I went to go talk to him and interview him. He's telling me about his day, telling me he ate good, that his meds are working just fine, he's sleeping good. And I'm like, okay, you know, we're getting around to what brought you in here. And he's just like, well, let's just say family life is very tough right now. And you know, he had just came in that day, so I didn't want to pry open too much. I just want him to feel comfortable, let his guard down, and know that staff is here to help him. So I relate to him. I'm like, yeah, it can be really tough with family sometimes. Everybody has their issues. And I could tell he was a little more guarded, but we got a lot of information out at that time. So I'm like, okay, we'll kick it tomorrow. He just got here. So I'm going about my shift after talking to him. Thank you, man. I'll see you later. He was going to his room for a nap. I said, I'll wake you up before dinner. Then I'm walking back to the nurse's station and I see my fellow techs and nurses waving me back into the nurse's station room like, Jay. I'm like, can't be nothing. Maybe we got some crazy dangerous patient coming, or who knows. I had no idea. So I go back there and they're like, did you just get done talking to what's his name, you know, the psychopath kid? I'm like, yeah, why, what's up? They're like, did he tell you why he was in here? I said, well, actually, no, we didn't get that far today. And he just told me that, you know, family issues. And they're like, yeah. Did he mention that he has a dog? And I'm like, no, why would that be relevant? You know, completely oblivious. And they're like, read this. Y'all, I go into this boy's chart. And the reason why he was in the psych ward is because he took a drill from his father's shed. Trigger warning for all animal lovers. This is your warning right now. Fast forward this many seconds. He proceeds to take his father's drill, and while the dog was sleeping, he drilled a long nail into the dog's jaw and bolted him to the ground. Then he goes upstairs and threatens his older sister with the same nails. And as she screams, thank goodness her parents were on the way home and coming into the house to where they see their dog in a pool of blood, whimpering, only to discover their daughter, once they get upstairs, pinned up against the wall in sheer horror, screaming as he's holding this drill coming closer to her. And he's laughing. They tackle him and call the police, and ultimately he ends up in our psych ward. So instantly I start reflecting on the amount of time I spent with this young boy and what his interactions were like on the unit. And for those of y'all that don't know what a psychopath is, peep the definition. The narcissism and manipulation and dishonesty was top tier. I was like, yo, ain't no way. Like, is this a fabricated story? Like, do we have proof? Y'all, they showed pictures. So I'm like, wow, okay. So we gotta address this tomorrow, because yes, we do end up telling the kids like, hey, we do know why you're here. When we talk to them, we'll let them say their version of it and things like that. But sometimes, depending on how they come in, especially if they're violent or if they're acting out, like, we cut straight to the chase. Like, listen, this ain't no camp. This ain't no place to not reflect on why you are in this predicament, whether you have something to do with it or this is trauma related. We're gonna be honest so that we can make progress. And so the next day, same old, that kid's good. And I'm just kind of looking at him and I'm like, yo, like, this is gonna be very interesting to bring this up to him and see. They were like, go, you go do it. Tell us. You know, after we read this, we wasn't even trying to go up to them. A lot of them had dogs of their own, were dog lovers. They were like, we ain't having it. So I go to talk to him later on in the day, because I let him wake up, get acclimated, have a good group. I'm like, all right, you know, it seems safe to go in. Like, what am I about to find out? So I sit down with them and I say, hey, so I know we talked yesterday. You know, you're telling me that you were here because of some family issues. Is there anything more you want to tell me about that day? Let's go back there. He's like, nah, I really don't want to go back there. It was a dark time and I actually don't really remember. I think it could be the meds. He starts making excuses and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, well, what about any pets? Do you have any pets? Y'all. Soon as I asked that question, it's like I said some deep ancient spell that woke up the real him, because instantly he's looking at me like this. And I'm like, and I'm not taking the bait. I'm like, at the end of the day, boy, like, you's 11 years old. Unless you about to be a demon and make me start floating up in the air, you can catch this work if you're really feeling froggy. All in proper patient crisis prevention intervention too. I ain't gonna do nothing crazy. I'm like, I did read your chart, and I think it's important that we talk about why you're here and where this behavior is coming from. Can you get into it? He's just... So I say, now I'm concerned, because beforehand you were open and sweet and participating. but now you're looking at me in a way that makes me feel unpredictable about what you're going to do. And I hope that this isn't leading anywhere negative, because you've been making such positive progress. We can get through this if you're willing to talk about it. You're in a psych ward. There's still hope if you want to address the issues going on in your life. Then he starts like on some Dragon Ball Z Kamehameha. And I'm like, yo. And then he just starts screaming at the top of his lungs. So I'm calling the other staff to come down. They're rushing down, and he's just sitting there screaming, powering up. Everybody's trying to calm him down. He's upset in the unit. Kids coming outside their room, seeing what's going on. Other kids with mental illnesses getting agitated that have auditory issues. And so we're like, hey, if you don't quiet down right now, we're going to take you to the quiet room, and we're going to let you chill out in there for a little bit. The quiet room is more of a soundproof area that each unit has. You lock the door, they can't get out. You got to monitor them, but it helps to, if they're acting out, not disrupt the rest of the unit while also allowing them to ventilate, because they can't do it forever. He doesn't care, so we're taking him to the quiet room, lifting him up. He starts kicking, screaming, swearing, all obscenities, talking about what he's going to do to us, talking about how he's going to cut off certain parts of our intricate body parts. Like, it was just like a huge flip and switch. And after that day, I looked myself in the mirror and I said, man, you never know what you don't know. And I think I just met a psychopath. That was one of the craziest experiences I ever had on the pediatric unit.
Now, that story is crazy. But what I want to point out in that story is, imagine if that kid's parents just looked at him like, oh, he's just crazy. Let's just brush it under the rug. Let's not talk about this. And he grows up to be an adult. That is what we are seeing in our prisons. There are a lot of people that were just like that kid. It started out with just choking up a bird or something, or just lying, or just manipulating at a young age. And now they're doing it as adults. And guess what? The world does not feel sorry for them, which is why I think it is so important to catch this early. All right. So, and to my adults, to my people that's a little bit up there in age, you're not in your youth, maybe your family can't save you or anything. I want you to ask yourself, do you feel like there might be something that is bigger that's going on with you? Because here's the thing about mental health. If I sprain my ankle, I'm going to be limping noticeably to the point where I'm going to have to go get my ankle checked out. But the thing about mental health is, because you cannot see it, like it's not obvious, like somebody can't look at me, or I can't look in the mirror and see a mental health injury, you assume that it's not there, you could brush it under the rug, it's not that big of a deal. But the thing about it is, I always use this analogy. What good is a well-enabled body but a messed up mind that is controlling the body? That's like a 2025 car, 0 mileage, drives perfect, great engine, but a horrible drive. That person does not need to be on the road. So people, seek psychiatry, seek help. If you have some type of insurance, call a psychiatrist, go to your primary care, ask them to see a psychiatrist to just talk about what are the things that you're going through. You know, seek therapy. You will find out that a lot of your sadness, a lot of your causes of happiness is not just about sad and mad. Some things are deeper, and part of getting to the root is seeking the right type of help. And for a lot of people, you don't realize that you needed the right type of help until you snap. And now relationships are affected. Now your freedom is affected. So when people say, oh, my mental health, nah, you need to really look into your mental health. It's deeper than just happy and sad in a quote on Instagram. But anyways, y'all, this video is already very long because I put in these long clips. But I really wanted y'all to kind of get the idea of how much of a crisis this actually is. Like, there are people that are really throwed. There are people that really aren't all the way there, but those people don't deserve to just be locked away like God made a mistake or something like that. Those people deserve to be treated as well, because some people are just born with ailments. But anyways, y'all, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe button, turn on my post notifications, roll to 70,000 subscribers. Shout out to y'all. We just hit 60,000. I really appreciate everybody that has been supporting me thus far. We're gonna keep on growing. We're gonna keep on learning. I learned from doing these videos. A lot of research goes behind this. A lot of learning goes into this for myself too. So I never want you guys to think that by watching me, I'm some perfect guy that has the world figured out. No, I do research. I do research on what's going on out there in the world and what are some fixes that maybe we can implement. So like I said, y'all, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe button, turn on my post notification, hit that hype button too, all right? And all that good stuff, man. Until next time, y'all, it's me, your boy, Ty Boogie. I'm out of here, man. Peace.